Welcome back to the DeVory Darkins show. And in today's live stream, we're going to be talking about the No Kings protest, which kicks off tomorrow across the country. We know there's going to be paid agitators, people looking to vandalize businesses, people looking to disrupt. And of course, what do Democrats want? I guess they're caught in a little position here because some of them do want violence and others don't because they believe it's going to give the president the excuse to invoke the Insurrection Act. So we'll talk about that, of course, and some good news coming out of the FBI where Kash Patel has dropped some great news about Antifa. 2 members have been indicted. So for all those people who think Antifa is not an organization, well, I guess how will you be able to explain this? And before we get into the rest of the show, we are going Rumble Premium halfway through the show, just as a heads up. So after story 1, or I'll give you guys a heads up, if you're on YouTube, you're going to want to head over to Rumble to watch the rest of the stream. And if you don't have Rumble Premium, I'm going to give you the opportunity to find a way to get it for free. Okay. All right. So without that, or without any further ado, let's go to our first clip. This is Speaker Johnson regarding the No Kings protest. And I want you to pay attention to how he describes the protests, because this is what's sparking the meltdown from people on the left. Let's take a look at that.
Now, tomorrow, the Democrat leaders are going to join for a big party out on the National Mall. They're going to descend on our Capitol for their much-anticipated so-called No Kings rally. We refer to it by its more accurate description, the Hate America rally, okay? And I'm not sure how anybody can refute that. If you think about what's going to happen here tomorrow, you're going to bring together the Marxists, the socialists, the Antifa advocates, the anarchists, and the pro-Hamas wing of the far-left Democrat Party. That is the modern Democratic Party. That's where they've gone. And the Hate America rally is the common theme among all those groups. Listen to the language they use themselves. Many of them don't like living in America. They hate capitalism. They hate our free enterprise system. They hate our principles. They hate the ideas that we come in to work every day to fight for, to preserve, in the greatest nation in the history of the world. They hate the idea of individual freedom and limited government. They hate the idea of the rule of law. They fight against it all the time. They hate the idea of peace through strength. They lobby against it all the time. Individual freedom, limited government, the rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, human dignity, the things that lead to human flourishing, the things that made us the greatest nation in the history of the world. They're opposed to law enforcement. They're opposed to military, and their votes show it over and over. That's the collection of voices that you'll hear tomorrow that the Democrats will go out and raise their hands with and cheer with. And some of these people are so blinded by their hatred of President Donald Trump that they can't find one reason to celebrate America.
That's right. I mean, we saw clips of, I forgot what state it was in, but it was a state legislator who refused to clap for military personnel who was coming off of a plane. If you guys know what I'm talking about, just put it in the chat. We know that we see liberals every single day posting on TikTok that they've left the country. They fled Donald Trump's America. And for someone to flee the greatest country in the world, I think that tells you their state of mind. Now, listen, I don't think it's a bad idea to leave this country for a bit, like for the summer, and get out there, explore the rest of the world. I think everyone should do that, okay? But if you're fleeing this country, and I use the word fleeing because that's what they would be using, because of one man, you're definitely emotionally weak. No question about it. That means you have allowed propaganda to become a part of your belief system. Who does that exactly? People who are mentally unwell. So getting back to this No Kings protest, will there probably be agitators and some level of violence? Yes. Will mainstream media probably cover it in a fair way? Probably not. You know, it's going to take the people on the ground, the investigative journalists, to catch these people and truly put the information out there, because we know how they do. That's why when you guys watch my show, sometimes I can't help but show Fox News clips, because that's the only network showing what's actually happening. MSDNC is not showing you what's going on at these ICE detention facilities, especially when it clearly shows that people are obstructing justice. They're not going to show you that. And CNN, they flip-flop. Every now and then they do, and then sometimes they don't. So, you know, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I will be looking forward to it. Now, speaking of CNN, their take on all of this is that, one, Speaker Johnson is wrong. This is not a Hate America rally. And by the way, as we go through this, give me your thoughts in the comments section to what Speaker Johnson said. Do you agree that this is a Hate America rally? Let me know below. Anyways, so CNN claims that that's not true. It's so far from the truth. This is all peaceful, and this is great for America. Let's take a listen to that.
The No Kings rallies are happening tomorrow, this weekend. Organizers are expecting them to be even bigger than last time. Millions of people to turn out. And what they're calling for is to peacefully celebrate the First Amendment right to protest. But House Speaker John Boehner, House Speaker Mike Johnson, we'll ask John Boehner how he feels about it. House Speaker Mike Johnson, he called these rallies Hate America rallies. What do you think this is coming to represent?
I think they are desperate, and I mean desperate, to invoke the Insurrection Act, and they're going to look for any excuse tomorrow to try to do that. So to anybody who's marching, I would say treat Donald Trump as a joke, as the protesters in Portland did. Be peaceful. If somebody tries to provoke you, do not get provoked, do not engage, because they want one little shred of violence, anything, to be able to say, look, the country's out of control, we're going to invoke the Insurrection Act. J.D. Vance said they're considering it. I mean, this is not something that's just theoretical. It's going to happen if there's an excuse. So I would just say to anybody who's marching, please do whatever you can to be as peaceful as possible, to not give them that excuse.
Yeah, see, the problem is that Donald Trump, or President Trump, that is not looking for people to get violent. He does not want people to get violent, which is why he's warned people repeatedly not to get violent. The people who want these protesters to get violent is the Democrat Party. That's why they speak the way that they do and why they refuse to condemn the behavior. Where were Democrats at when Tesla was getting firebombed? Where Tesla owners were being doxxed? Where were Democrats at when you had two staffers that worked at the, they were in D.C. and they were murdered at nighttime? Where were Democrats at where Big Balls, right, the dude that works for Doge, was beat up? We can go to Charlie Kirk, right? We can keep going down the list. They are really silent when it comes to violence against the right. And I think that's a troubling fact for people who are conservative to understand who we're dealing with. We're not dealing with people who are reasonable, that are willing to come to the table and have a conversation, or that are willing to look in the mirror and take some level of accountability. I mean, think about this. Even in the conservative movement, you have people disagreeing with how to react to what happened with the Young Republicans group chat, which means there's a diversity of thought, diversity of opinion. We're willing to disagree with each other. Some people think it should have been handled this way. Some people think we should have been handled that way. But when it comes to Democrats, there is no diversity. It is one mission and one mission only, and that is to fight against President Trump. Now, the only way to do that, if you're going to fight against President Trump and have some level of success as far as galvanizing the base, someone's got to pay for it. So the question here is, who's funding these protests? Well, here's one theory. Let's take a look at that.
I want to get your take on some of the No Kings protest sponsors that we're seeing. If you take a close look, you can see the Young Communist League, the CPUSA, or Communist Party of the United States of America. These are the people who were sponsoring these protests. Kind of a load of far-left nonprofits, it seems like. Is the DHS looking into the funding behind this?
Look, these protests are, done by the most radical Antifa, communists, like you mentioned. These are the most radical far left, and they are really pushing violence against our law enforcement. Most Americans don't agree with this. They think our law enforcement are heroes. They are happy with the job President Trump and this department are doing to make America safe again. And we're doing everything we can so law and order will prevail, and our law enforcement can continue to do their jobs in a safe way to make our country safe again.
Yeah. So what you guys see here on the screen is just a list that goes on and on and on about the people who have, they're sponsoring these protests. So they're putting up money to obviously market their business. So that's another way to fund this protest. And as you guys heard, the Communist Party, what is that exactly? I don't think you're ever going to see a Communist Party sponsoring a conservative event. Now, you guys fact check me if you guys have seen that yourself. I've never heard of it. But let's just take a look at some of these names because I think they're interesting. Let's see here. We got Chicago Women Take Action. That's one. We have another one here that says make polluters pay. I don't know where they're going with that. Free DC, Bernie, you got his logo, ACLU. I think that tells you a lot there. So, yeah, I mean, listen, when Speaker Johnson comes out and calls this a Hate America rally, is he lying? Is he being partisan, or is he telling the truth? I think there's a lot of truth to what he's saying. These people do hate America. And why is that true? Because they hate the way America is today. They don't like free thinkers. They don't like common sense policies. They don't like, these principles that have made this country great. Okay, they think conservatives are bigots and racist and is rooted in white supremacy, as they call it, especially the Republican Party. They think President Trump and his supporters are a threat to democracy. And we know what Biden said to the public. People who support Trump are far right extremists. So, yeah, I could see why they would hate America, because that's the way they see half of the country. So no shocker here. And as you guys may know, or maybe you have forgotten, the interesting thing about Democrats is that they already have institutions that have been established to fund a lot of whatever they want to do. Think Hollywood, think mainstream media, think the music industry, just think the entertainment industry as a whole. Think, universities. Like, these different establishments are all connected with each other. It may not be intentionally that way, but over the years, over the decades, over generations, it's become that. So when someone needs to sell their book, someone needs to host a protest like the No Kings protests, or someone's going to run a candidate, it's not hard for them to find the money because they already have all of this built. And the problem is there's really one man who's been behind most of it, as you guys know, George Soros. And will he ever be held accountable? Probably not. Probably not. Okay. So having said all that, we did watch a clip earlier today as we were getting ready for this show from MSDNC. And this is the type of analysis that makes you kind of pause for a little bit, because it actually made sense to me. And I want to get your guys' take on it. Okay, so this is MSDNC saying that this is probably President Trump's greatest month as the president so far in his administration because of what happened with Israel and Hamas. So to be holding or hosting these protests right now is bad timing. Let's take a listen.
I think they'll be peaceful. We've had them in the past, and obviously there is the right to protest, and I think both sides need to behave. Obviously, anybody at the National Guard side has got to behave. The protesters got to behave. It's an interesting time to be doing it. Trump is coming off his most successful week ever as a president. I mean, there's universal backing in terms of obviously what happened with Israel and the fantastic job he's done. So it's an interesting week to be coming out against Trump. I don't know if I would have picked this week to do it, but we'll see what happens.
Interesting. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, think about what they're going to be saying during these protests. They're going to be calling the president all these names, like I just told you guys, and what we hear every single day. But how do you say all these things when he was clearly a part of this peace proposal between Hamas and Israel? And as you guys already know, will Hamas even keep up their end of the deal? It doesn't look like it so far, but that's a whole nother conversation. There's no question what he did over there, especially if you're talking about the families who had members that were hostages. They think he's a hero. So you think they're hearing what these No King protesters are talking about? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Most of these problems that liberals or far left progressives think is wrong with our country, it's manufactured problems. They're not real problems. And a lot of it is absent of personal responsibility. They don't believe in people taking responsibility for their own choices. They think everybody needs a handout, and they want the government to do it. And as I told you guys yesterday, from a financial literacy point, that's a nightmare to live your life that way. You do not want to depend on the government. But that's a whole nother thing. So why don't we get the reaction from the president? Because he did do an interview with Fox News earlier today with Maria, and he reacted to these protests. Let's take a look.
Mr. President, do you think that the government shutdown is all about this rally that's happening this weekend, the No Kings rally?
No, I mean, some people say they want to delay it for that. a king. This is
more
not a
than
king.
that.
You know, they're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right. No, but just so that Chuck Schumer could go and say, I'm fighting Trump.
Yeah, well, Chuck is, you know, at the end of the line. He's being beaten by everybody that they poll against him. And, you know, what he did is he did the right thing a couple of years ago on something like this. And he got hurt by his party. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters to him. I think he's just so dead that he'll do anything. I think they could just stay out forever. I mean, to be honest with you. Now, what we're doing is we're cutting Democrat programs that we didn't want because, I mean, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted. You know, giveaways, welfare programs, et cetera. And we're doing that, and we're cutting them permanently. We're cutting a $20 billion project that Schumer fought for 15 years to get. And I'm cutting the project. The project is going to be dead. It's pretty much dead right now.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I really don't. And what I mean by that is the federal government's inability to truly budget the money properly. That's what I mean. You see, if anything that we learned about Elon Musk and his time in the federal government is that it's broken and it cannot be fixed in the way that it is constructed. A man who sends rockets into the space every single day, who has built Starlink, Boring Company, Neuralink, Tesla, SpaceX, was a part of PayPal. A guy of that magnitude, with that type of creative thinking, and as an engineer at heart can't fix the government, then there's a problem. And I tell you guys this all the time, you know, and, you know, maybe there are people who watch who don't like it, but that's why I don't have much, I don't really care for people in Washington like that. I don't understand how people can actually trust them. You can't. And I think the way the system is built, they can't do what they're supposed to do to begin with, because what are they doing 95% of their time? They're trying to get elected again, because donors, lobbyists are what control these politicians. So this expectation that politicians are going to do what we want them to do is naive at best. In fact, I would argue it's ignorance at a certain point. That's why what the president is doing is nothing short of history, because he's actually doing what he said he was going to do. But once he leaves office, I'm not too sure we're going to have that again, especially from people in Congress. Because the way Congress is built, one person isn't going to do it. It takes a group, it takes a team, a majority vote. And yeah, that's just the way that I see it. So at any rate, this whole No Kings protests is really troubling, because it just doubles down on the propaganda that half the country continues to buy into. And that's why Caroline Leavitt said this about the party yesterday, which kind of mirrors exactly what Speaker Johnson said. But the reason why I want to play it for you is because you got to see what Hakeem Jeffries had to say as a response to what she said. So let's play her clip first.
That the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world. And that.
Yeah. Hamas, terrorists, illegal aliens, and criminals. Now, you guys let me know in the chat. Do you guys agree with her? Do you think the main people that Democrats are fighting for are Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and criminals? Now, depending on which side you lean politically, you might debate Hamas terrorists. Okay, fine. But there's no question about criminals and illegal aliens. And you might as well throw donors up there too, right? Because that's the problem with politics. Donors control everything in a sense. Okay, one more clip, and then we're going to get to your guys' chat. Here is Hakeem Jeffries responding to Caroline Leavitt.
It's a matter of deep concern. Like, we've already seen a rise in political violence and hatred in America. And then you've got swastikas apparently appearing in the offices of Republican members of Congress.
Show us
You've
the
got
picture.
young Republicans engaging in the most anti-Semitic and racist speech possible.
And Jay Jones
Like,
is
this
asking
is
for
apparently
assassination.
who many of these people are. They are ripping the sheets off in plain view of the American people. Their words, their actions, revealing themselves in so many different ways. And then you got Caroline Leavitt, who's sick. She's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense. That this is what the American people are getting from the Trump administration in the middle of a shutdown. So their actions continue to speak for themselves, which is why they're on the wrong side of public sentiment. Question on the second. Thanks. Yeah.
Interesting. So they're on the wrong side of public sentiment. I'm not too sure I buy that exactly. But sure, let's go to your guys' chat here on Rumble first. There we go. And we do have a rant. All these writers need to spend this energy on helping and protecting our innocent children against all this child abuse. Too many children are being killed. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Democrats don't care about human traffickers. They don't care about the victims. They don't care about people who have been negatively impacted by illegal immigration. They don't care about gang violence. They don't care about fentanyl and drugs. So what do they care about exactly? They care about this concept of thinking that they live their lives on this moral high ground. And they have been called to look at everybody as if they're a victim and come and save them. And when I'm being polite here, okay? Because I think there's some people, especially at the university level, who truly believe that. And then you have people who have gone way past that, and they're entertaining socialism and communism because they bailed completely on capitalism. They think capitalism is the reason why people cannot afford homes, people can barely get by, etc. Guys, the reason why people can't afford homes is not always the government's fault, okay? I mean, just being honest with you, okay? I mean, let's just be real about it. Part of it is like, hey, you know, what home are you trying to buy? Are you living above your means? I mean, that deserves to be a part of the conversation too. Now, there's no doubt that the government is addicted to spending, and they have destroyed the value of the dollar. But there's nothing as Americans we can do about that right now. But what we can do is make smarter financial choices that won't be impacted by the federal government. One example of that is to get out of California like my family did. Excuse me. Leave Chicago. You know, leave these. Well, you know, I love this city. You know, we were watching this documentary on Netflix. It was about Katrina and how people refuse to leave. Well, I mean, if you're refusing to leave these areas that have gone to crap, then I can't help you at that point. Meaning, we have to make decisions for ourselves. Because if you don't make a decision for your life, you don't make a decision for your career, you know what's going to happen? Someone else will. That's a great lesson I learned in the military as well. You got to take charge of your career, or they will. Okay, let's read or let's see what else you guys have to say here today. Yeah, these so-called politicians are so removed from reality. They do nothing for of themselves and need repentance to the one and only true God. Yeah. Yep. Hakeem Jeffries is insane. I know. Yep. Yeah. See, Hakeem Jeffries is your classic establishment robot talking politician. That's why there's nothing he says that is authentic. Okay. I wanted to see if you guys agreed with what Speaker Johnson said about who the party caters to, which is Hamas terrorists, criminals, and illegal aliens. Yeah, Timu Obama is what I keep seeing. Yeah, here's a good idea. Let's have some fun. ICE raids at the No Kings protests. I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't think that is a bad idea. Okay, let's head over here to Rumble here. Hold on. I got one more I want to read here. There we go. The Mexican cartels love Democrats. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. All the political violence in America in the past 4.25 years came from the left. I know, but they want everybody to believe the violence comes from the right. Okay, so where exactly is the No Kings protest happening? I mean, it's happening all over the place, to my understanding. Portland, Seattle, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston. I saw that earlier today. Asheville is another place. In fact, we'll show you, because it leads into story number 2 about Antifa. They're already trying to recruit people from Antifa to show up at these locations, and they have a few flyers. So I'll show you guys that in a bit here. Let's see here. So it's going to be all over the country. Now, will it be bigger than the last one? Some people believe it won't be. But if they're paying people to show up, I like to think that it will be. Yeah, if he was a king, there would be no protests. Exactly. They would all be arrested or worse. You know, that's why sometimes when we're talking about politics every day, it's like I have to waste brain cells on trying to talk about things that are just plain ignorant. Because sometimes that's what Democrats are. They're just lying 110%, just no truth whatsoever. And to make matters worse, they actually believe people believe them. And to a certain extent, they're right for that belief, because that's what happened to majority of their base. They believe this stuff. And that's why I said, when you have people fleeing, as they put it, America, because they call it Trump's America. Yeah, these people believe anything that they're told, as long as it's an idea that is counter to President Trump. I have a lefty friend, this is from Ozzy, asked him, quote, "What do you think of the peace in the Middle East thanks to Trump?" He replied, "Never happened." Yeah. It's like Zohran Mamdani. He was asked, do you give any credit whatsoever, any credit to President Trump? He says, nah, it's too early. Okay, so no credit at all. None. Got it. They hate America because America is not communist. They hate good and nice and pretty and fictional because communist is ugly, bad, wrong, and doesn't function at all. Yep. Yep. Democracy is not mentioned in the Constitution. I know. I totally am with you guys. They don't like people with a backbone and appreciate the idea of working for a living. No, they don't. Okay. Couple more comments and then we will move on here. Please cover how dangerous it's going to be that an ICE facility, or how dangerous it's going to be for the ICE facility now that the judge made them remove the barricade. Someone is not going home tomorrow, and it's heartbreaking. Well, we have a few clips to show you guys about that. And if you're on YouTube, just as a heads up, if you guys want to check out those clips, my reaction, and also read your comments and any questions you may have, you got to head over to Rumble here. It's going to happen in the next few minutes. Yeah, I'm going to cover that. Let's see here. Democracy is 2 wolves and 1 sheep deciding what's for dinner. That's an interesting way of putting it. But this is a republic, right? Don't vote for the incumbent. Never, ever vote for the incumbent. Vote for the new guy. We can clean them out. Yeah, you know, that's a very good point to remember, which is, you know, if you're a Trump supporter, right, you probably already understand that Republicans that are in Congress, most of them are not going to do anything that's in the best interest of the working class or Americans. I think that's as clear as day. I think majority of the policies we're seeing is coming from President Trump himself, not from the GOP. So what do you do about it, knowing that he won't be president after 2028? Well, midterms is around the corner, and listen, I'm not running for office, so don't ask me. But for the people out there who are running for office, maybe we should definitely give them a chance. I'm not too sure we can do any worse than what's already in there, if that makes sense. And I'm still not even talking about the percentage of Congress who isn't even there. They're in nursing homes. They could barely walk. You got some falling over. You have some that you haven't seen them in almost a year. No one ever talks about that too. They're too old. And I'm not trying to be, rude about it, but come on. Okay, when do midterms take place? Next year or 2026? 2026. Ugh. Okay. All right. I think it's time for us to move to, well, actually, let's go here first. Why don't we talk about this first, and then we'll transition to Rumble. What do I want to talk about right now briefly as we transition here? I want to talk about how many times you are scrolling on your web browser. How many times are you searching for things? How many times are you sending emails? Right? Wouldn't it be nice if you can use a browser that would do all of that for you? Well, that's why Perplexity AI has partnered with Rumble, by the way. But the more important thing is they have created this browser called Comet. Now, the cool thing about Comet, it's like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet. And not just do things, but also give answers, send emails. It can shop. It can schedule things on your calendar. And I'm going to show you an example of that right now. But more importantly, and just as a personal note, I probably have used ChatGPT more than all the other ones, like if I'm thinking for the last 3 years, of course. But as time has gone on, I've been using ChatGPT less and less because it's not accurate. I mean, there are times where we were building this studio or dealing with equipment or producing the show, and I'm asking ChatGPT questions, and it blatantly is lying to me. And because I'm a free thinker and I'm always willing to question what it's telling me and go do my research or go do it myself to figure it out, I get upset a lot. So the cool thing about Comet is, you don't have that experience. They will do the research for you, and you could dictate how the research is done so you can get the answers that you want. Now, let me show you guys an example of what I'm talking about, just so you guys know this is legit. Let's put this on the screen here. There we go. All right. So, it's a browser, so you could search, you could do whatever you want. But the main question that was asked in Rumble was this: where are the No Kings protests this weekend located? Please list all cities. Okay. So this is normal, right? Any AI you go to, you ask it a question, it gives you an answer. But I'm going to go a step further with this and just show you how cool this is. At the top right corner, it has this little button called Assistant. You just hit that, and then you say, "Hey, can you send the list of cities to my email address at truth@DeVoryDarkins.com?" And what it's going to do is gather the list of cities, and you have to obviously connect your email address to the software. But then it's going to create the email, and then it will send the email to that email that you gave it. And there it is, preparing to compose and send the list of protest cities via email to the user. And it might take a little minute here. There it goes. And it's just confirming, are you sure you want me to send this? Yes, please send. Done. And if I look on my phone here, let's see if I got it. Yeah, right here. Hi, here's a concise list of cities with confirmed No Kings protests this Saturday, October 18th, 2025. Washington, D.C., New York City, Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, Kansas City, Atlanta, New Orleans, Houston, Montana. Can you believe that? Montana? Bozeman, Montana? Okay. Los Angeles, San Diego, Philadelphia, Miami, Honolulu, North Texas cities, Frisco, Arlington, Plano, Garland, Rockwall, Forney, Weatherford. There are 2,500 plus locations across all 50 states and DC. See major news outlets and the organizer's site for full details and location-specific links. Yeah, that's how easy it is. So this is Comet, guys. I think it's pretty cool. Again, you could actually ask for it at the shop, put a shopping list and stuff like that. And so it's more than just your AI. It's an actual browser that can do everything for you. Okay, I think you guys have heard enough. That is Comet, the browser made by Perplexity AI. And if you go to the link below this video or in the chat, they are giving 1 month of Rumble Premium free, which is what you're going to need as we get into story number 2. Again, you can hit the link in the chat below or in the description below this video to download the browser so you can get 1 month free of Rumble Premium. Okay, so if you're on YouTube, we're about to head over to Rumble Premium at this point. If you're not going to join us, I definitely want to give you a big thanks for watching us today. We stream Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We still upload our breaking news updates twice a day as well, so don't forget about those. And we're always trying to bring you common sense commentary for these uncommon times, showing you what both sides are saying. Obviously, not telling you what to think. You can make up your own mind because I believe you guys are intelligent and free thinkers. But that's the mission here. So thank you guys on YouTube. Let's go ahead and